I wrote, have the courage and faith to give it, it being your chosen path, for example, to give it all you have, like it is the only thing. And know that if you must, you will let it go and start over, and that it will hurt every time.
I think this sums up especially like your pathway
All
and
those,
your
all the different things I've
transitions.
done.
Yeah, that's incredible. No, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Now Reflection podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Chan, Manager of African Scouting for the Toronto Raptors, Development Associate with Giants of Africa, and the founder of Home at Home, a Padiat Foundation. We have quite an amazing guest with us today. I'm excited to have her on the set. She is a South Sudanese filmmaker based in Nairobi, Kenya. She has directed feature-length film and 4 short. No Simple Way Home, her feature debut, has premiered at the Berlin International Film Festival and has received nominations as the best writing and the best documentary film at the International Documentary Association. Welcome, Akuol.
Thank you, Sarah. This is lovely.
It's great to have you here. Incredible film, documentary, but also just your passion behind it and everything that led you to actually shoot it, but also going back to your life and your pathway to where you are right now. Would kindly share with our audience briefly about your life.
My life. Where do I begin? So I grew up in Nairobi. I was born in Cuba, in Havana, which people always find very strange. I find it strange too because I was 2 years old when we left. I don't really remember it, but it's just this detail in my life that tells you that we moved around a lot.
Yeah.
Right. My family moved around a lot. Even in Nairobi, when growing up in Nairobi, we moved from house to house because my parents are political figures, and they are prominent in our country and even in the region in East Africa. So their entry into public life happened before I was born. So it has featured in my life, my whole life. Before me,
Yes.
there was this
chose you.
movement, and there was, you could say so. You could say that, yeah. So my parents' role in their public life is a big part of my early memories and growing up in Nairobi. Yeah.
That is quite interesting for your childhood and moving around. And for those of you, our audience, that don't know who Akuol de Mabior is, she's the daughter of the late Dr. John Garang and Her Excellency Rebecca Nyandeng, who also loves to be called Mama Rebecca. So going back to the questions, what challenges, if any, did you face growing up in the diaspora?
So I generally consider myself very lucky. I like Nairobi, and I think generally people are very tolerant and kind, and I don't want to bash the place that I grew up, and a place that we have called home. And so many of us have called home and come back to, and we went to school in. So I would say in terms of challenges, though, that it was school, where it first became clear to me that there was something different about me.
Right.
Because I mean, at home, you are you.
Same.
Yeah, we're all the same. There's nothing special about you. There's so many of us. I have
You
5
look
other
alike.
siblings, you know, cousins, you know, and we all grew up
The multitude.
together. Yeah, exactly. And then you go to school, and that's the
Yeah.
first time it's pointed out to you
Yes.
that there's something different about you, that you're
Right.
foreign.
Yes.
And so as a child, encountering that for the first time, and there we all know how kids can be, how
Yeah.
mean kids can
Oh,
be,
yeah.
especially when there's something different about you.
Right.
And then not expecting it or not being prepared for it, because, and I think that this is, I would give credit to my parents and actually to my family. Let me just say to my family that at home we felt at home, like let's say in whatever house, for me, let me speak on my own behalf. In my own house, I felt at home, and I felt myself, and I felt like there was nothing strange about me. So it made it quite jarring to go into a situation where, because there was such a contrast, and I was like, wait, what? What's wrong
I'm
with
different?
me? Yeah, exactly. I didn't feel like there was anything wrong with me.
Is it because I'm tall?
So too tall,
Height, too
black,
skinny, too black,
skinny,
I know.
too all, you know. And it was and there was a lot of bullying, and it was relentless, and of course I was a very shy, soft-spoken child at that time. Before then I was not. I'll tell you about it.
Oh,
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
But by then I was very shy, very soft-spoken. I did not want to stand out. I realized quickly I did not want to stand out. I just wanted to fit in and be left alone.
Right.
But that was not
happening, and it was not going to
possible.
happen.
It was not possible. You know, and so I came to terms with the fact that there was nothing I can do. I can't do anything about standing out. It's just
It's nature.
What are you going to do? Are you going to try to shrink?
Yeah, and a lot of children used to
Yes.
basically hunch their backs so they can be a bit shorter
so even
to fit in.
the fact that I didn't do that, I was like, why are you walking like that?
She must be full of pride.
Why are you walking like that? Why are you, you know, and who do you think you are? This kind of thing. So even being upright was a problem. Everything was a problem. But so those kinds of things were challenging. And also sometimes we would get that sentiment in the street. You'd be called things that are associated with South Sudan. I don't even think necessarily in a mean-spirited way all the time.
Yeah, sometimes it was
just curiosity, or just like somebody wanting to just, you know, seeing that you look different, and then they just, Garang. Did you ever get that?
That is so funny, because we also used to be called Garang, but I wonder how it was for you.
Of course, they don't know.
To actually be Garang's daughter. That is kind of funny.
But we did get, so you got that too, right?
We did, yeah. Yeah.
So things like that, you're walking in the street and somebody wants to just be like, I know that you're from South Sudan, and just sort of throw out
those,
a thing or whatever. So
that is
I think it was, I found standing out challenging because I never wanted to. And I would see people who wanted to stand out or who wanted attention and be like, man, if you got it, I don't know if you would want it. But I think it's because of my personality more than
anything else.
More than anything else, yeah. It was not necessarily how terrible it was. Yeah. And what else? I think, being unsettled. You mentioned.
Right.
There's something particular about being unsettled, and there's other things that I think we all share. Challenges that we all share, but because you're born into it, you don't know any better, or you don't know any different. And at the same time, I consider myself very lucky. I don't like to look back and
pick apart
and complain. About when I think everybody was trying their best, you know, under difficult circumstances.
Right.
And you learn things as you grow.
Right.
That, you know, this was like that because, and as a child, maybe you don't understand. You don't understand.
The full scope of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I know.
And I think that a lot of people had more difficulties. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't like to complain too much about our situation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because I think we definitely shared a lot of, those challenges. But honestly, knowing our history and where we're coming from, it was the least of our problems to be called tall, dark, or skinny. And, we had other
Which
things
you realize after, right?
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And
I'd say that it hurt me at the time.
as it should, as a human being,
as a
and
kid,
young,
but I value it now because I think it gave me permission to. It's like if they're going to, if everything is wrong,
right.
then I might as well just. If everything I'm doing is wrong,
what do I have to lose
if everything
now?
about my being, things,
my existence,
things that I can do nothing about.
Yeah.
If it's all wrong, then I might as well do what I want
and do what makes me happy.
Do what makes me happy and be myself.
Right. Absolutely.
Because it's all wrong anyway.
Right.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Oh man. No, and that's a great mindset to have going forward, and I'm very sure
it shaped some of the decisions that I made because realizing that I could never fit in gave me the courage to make decisions that people discouraged. Yeah.
Right, right. And also I think the more, and especially being young, the more that you show that you really don't care and their abuses and their, bullying doesn't affect you as much, then a lot of them just like fall back. Like it's not working anymore. Now we have to look for something different. That's exactly what
happened. It didn't happen in one go.
Yeah.
It took a long time.
Yes.
Because even for me, it took a long time for me to
come to terms.
To realize that you're not going to change.
Right.
People's minds necessarily. So just be yourself. So even that process was not like one day I woke up and I was like, I should just be myself. it took time, and also the kids eventually would leave, or the bullying eventually stopped or affected me less.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And then I would want to say also that I told my mom about it after the fact, like this used to happen.
Okay.
And I remember she seemed shocked. Like I told her some of the details, like the kids would say, oh, you're so black and ugly and what. She was like, ugly?
I know, right? Like black, they're not wrong, but
she was like, they said that. So even seeing how shocked she was, kind of was reassuring to me.
For you, like, what do you mean?
Because I think I went to school, and when I heard those things, I was like, if they're all saying it, maybe they're right.
Right.
But
and when you hear it so much, then it kind of like
maybe,
sinks in.
Yeah, maybe they're right. That kind of thing. But then how much pride my mom took in our South Sudanese identity, the fact that we look South Sudanese, and the fact that, for me, looking at her, she seemed to have quite high self-esteem and be quite comfortable in her own skin, at least in my eyes. I think that gave me, even if on the surface there was a lot of turbulence, I think fundamentally it gave me a lot of confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, she's always had her hair short. I don't ever remember seeing her in any pictures.
Or at least she's always had her head up.
Yes, up. But to be honest, and I have never really seen her with any other hairstyle other than, the African. She's chopped her hair down and it's patted down in such a. They call it khomfus. I know. I will teach you a lot of that.
Yes,
not a lot.
I need to learn.
My Arabic is also still.
Sarah Chan is teaching me.
Turban. But it's beautiful to see that the home education that, and I can relate to that because I come from a similar. Home setting and just being built for the road and not the road for you, right?
Sure.
And also just
that's great.
Thank you. And just knowing the history and the turbulence, leave alone when we're in the diaspora, but what the nation has gone through, 21 years of civil war, and knowing that your parents have been so instrumental to us being liberated and having a country. Like growing up, I remember all of us, for instance, when you would say kids would call you on the road, even the Kenyan kids knew who John Garang was, right? And refers to us.
That was not kids.
These were grown-ups now.
No, these were adults.
Oh man, shame on them. That's a bit much.
We forgive them.
It's life. We only know as much as we know.
Exactly.
But like the fact that everybody knew who they were. and these are your parents, right? And you know what they fought for and what they stood for. Then July 9th, 2011 comes and we have our independence. Describe for me your sentiments and just that day and what it represented for you and your family.
I think that it's many years after the fact that I come to realize how monumental it is in seeing image. Actually, it was in editing No Simple Way Home, in seeing images of people elated and all the hope. At the time, I was modeling. This is 2011. I was modeling and I was all over the world. And I think on that day, I was actually traveling. I was at the airport and I was seeing it on screens that this is news. South Sudan is now independent. And I think at that time, it didn't, the magnitude didn't hit me then. It hit me later. And then I was so distracted and all over the place and trying to figure out, you know, my place and this kind of thing. I was there during the referendum, the vote.
Did you get to vote?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't get to vote. I can't even remember why exactly, but it was like a distracted.
Yeah.
I was very distracted at that time, but I saw like and I think this is something I've been only recently starting to process and think about all the events and the big moments that we witnessed,
right.
And seeing in other people their joy and their hope. Actually,
Right.
hope is the
hope
big thing.
Was 100%.
Hope is the big thing, and to witness that in other people, I think.
Right.
I think you can't. Whatever I'm feeling,
you cannot.
I can't deny that this is a big moment,
right.
or I can see and feel that it's a big moment. And then also there's a little bit of, I guess. A little anxiety about what's going to happen.
Next.
You know, so now we have all this hope
step.
because it takes courage to have all that hope, and
but the real work really starts again.
And there's a sense of will the things that we're hopeful about, will they come to pass? So I think there's also a little bit of uncertainty or anxiety around the uncertainty of what's to come
next, right?
You know? Because I think those big moments, you know, a time like independence in 2011 feels like we have arrived.
Yes.
But that sense of arrival can put a veil over what's to come.
The work that lies ahead.
The work to come. Yeah.
No, I share the same sentiments. We're all very excited, but then there's the question mark.
Yeah.
Now what?
Exactly. Yeah.
And now what
exactly.
was huge as well.
Now what?
Yeah.
Actually,
now what?
Just those two words.
Now what?
They sums up that sense of anxiety. Yeah.
Right. And so now there's, we're an independent nation, but also as a young woman who's in the modeling industry and you're having your own personal transformation and you're gearing towards becoming a filmmaker. And congratulations, by the way, for the awards. That's huge. I fiddle with my little phone and act like I'm a director.
Oh,
you have seen me in action.
Don't be so modest. You're good. You're good. Follow Sarah Chan. Follow Sarah Chan on social media so that you can see her skills.
I mean, not quite the Akuol director, but to my little extent. But yeah, tell us how that transformation was and how you came to realize filming is what you want to go into and leaving behind the modeling life.
Yeah. So I modeled for 5 years, which is like in modeling years, that's like a full career, right? You know that as an athlete.
Okay, an athlete.
You know, as an athlete, you know
it's
how there's this sort of sense of it, like a clicking, a ticking talk,
yes.
a ticking clock.
Yeah.
A talking click.
A talker. A ticky talker.
You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Clocking tick.
Hey, this is our fourth, fifth language, so it's okay.
Actually, anyway. So even when I started at 21, and they told me that I should say I'm 19. So even when I started, there was this sense.
You should say that it exactly
Same
happened
thing?
to me at the same age, 21, and they told me to act like I was 19 and I was going to the U.S. Sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
so you get it.
Yeah.
I would go for castings and I would be like, I'm 19.
You were born in 2019?
I'm 29. Yeah, exactly. You see what I'm saying? And I initially was just like, why? Why would I lie? I felt
going
young.
to be me.
Yeah, I felt young when I started. I felt like I'm a young person.
Yeah.
But the longer that I stayed in it, I started feeling old because it was just constantly reiterated that you should lie about your age and things like that. And I didn't like. I would rather whoever might book me also knows that I'm old. I'm old.
I mean,
hello.
And this is only two. She said hello. I'm old. Yeah. And I'm fine with it.
You want?
Take it or leave it.
Okay. I have another casting to get to. But yeah, I from the beginning, I had this sense that the clocking tick.
The ticker talking clocker. Yes.
You know, so but I was in denial about about if it would last, if it would work, career. if it made sense even to be doing this.
Right.
And there's also this very seductive thing about the next casting will be the next job, and that big job will lead to the next whatever. And I think performers understand that seduction that you can fall into and then
spiral.
And then you end up staying in a career that isn't even really a career or that isn't working out. So I think I also will give credit to my mom again in that she was supportive of this move, even if she didn't like it. And I was very scared to tell her that I had this idea of trying modeling because she's generally quite conservative and also actually the main thing is that she values education so much, and in order to model I was going to stop studying, and she didn't like that at all. So she didn't really like this idea of modeling. She didn't think being wise she was just like, I don't know about this, but I don't want to stop you because I don't want you to look back and regret it. And so she was like supportive of it. But every time we would speak, she would say, oh, that's good that you got this job or that job. But just think about
is it really what you want
is this really the right thing? And so she would constantly say it, and she'd say it gently. She was never like, you need to stop this thing, and like this thing is not working. She was always very kind and generous and gentle about these little things she would say, which I think left a door open in my mind to stopping, because I think for me, I may not have had the courage otherwise to stop. I may have just stayed in that spiral of maybe the next job, maybe the next job, maybe the next job, and things are not working. So hearing my mother saying like, maybe you should think about
planted the seed.
Yeah, and kept like this window open. So that brought me, or I finally confronted the fact that it wasn't working. I never really was passionate about this work. No, I was never. It was just like, I don't want to do nothing. Everybody tells me I should do this thing. Maybe I'll get to go to New York. Maybe I'll get to go to Paris. Or maybe I'll make this kind of thing, Maybe I'll get to travel, actually, I think was the big pull. I was having a conversation with a friend who was like, she actually, this is in New York, so now I decided to stop modeling while I was in New York. And I'm talking to this friend who used to teach kids, or was it young adults, filmmaking. And I was telling her, I don't know, some half-baked idea about, I don't even remember, and it was me thinking about my artistic side, which is something that all my siblings share. Like my brother is a painter and he studied fine art, and my sister studied fashion design, and it was a direction that I considered going, or that I've always felt is a part of
Could
me.
be
Something
you would explore.
Yes.
Switching around the transition from modeling to
so
to
this
film.
conversation I had with my friend about this sort of half-baked idea, she said, that sounds like a film. When she said, that sounds like a film, was the just like that. It was like, okay, so I feel like I have a sort of innate gift, like you said. I'm going to use your words. I'm not going to claim it.
It really is, though.
The sense that we're all artistically inclined, and it was the case since we were all very, very young. It sounded like, and it felt like the best medium to practice in, because it's so. So another thing that I started feeling towards the end of modeling was like I could not grow as a model. I had been told that I had to I had to become younger. I had to do the opposite of growing. Like, what is this? It's called the Benjamin way. I had to shrink. You have to be a Miss Benjamin Button over here.
Yeah.
I had to be like some upside down weird, like, so you're told from the beginning that you need to stay young and you can't grow. And so I was really attracted to the idea that I know nothing about this. And I want to grow within some kind of work. I want to do work that allows me to grow.
Right.
So that was the other thing that attracted me about it, was like, okay, I don't know anything about it, but I can find out.
Right.
I saw this hilarious post about being a find-outologist. Have you seen that post?
Find-outologist.
Me and you, don't we share all these reels and posts and whatever? So there was one that I saw where this girl is like, I found out, and Job again. Yes. Job will find it.
Yes.
He'll find the post and
put it there.
Put it on the whatever. She's like, I found out everything because I'm a find-outologist. But anyway,
this generation and owning it by force, by fire.
That's education, right?
It is.
Being educated is being a find-outologist. I was like, okay, I don't know anything about filmmaking, but I can find out, So and then also feeling that sort of insecurity about being not qualified to do anything. Right. I was like, I need to go back to school. And the way I had left university was just wreckage. Like I just left. I crashed out. They say drop out. Yeah. It was like
crashed. Yours was even beyond.
It was like, So I actually contacted them to be like, what's my status? At your.
You see,
exactly.
I was young.
Let's
revisit.
But they actually let me come back.
Oh, good.
And I was on probation for the first year that I was back. And I became an extremely serious student because, again, I don't know, I guess maybe my sense is I chose this. So let me do it justice.
Yes.
Nobody is forcing me, and what luck to be able to choose and to have the support to go and try. Right. It's like, okay, I want to try and do this, and then the people on your team or in your corner are like, go try.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to do this opportunity justice and this choice that I've made. Same thing with it. Again, it can be to a fault. Right. Same thing with the modeling, right? Where it's like, okay, I chose, so I must go. Yeah. But that's how I thought about it, and it was going to be very difficult to study filmmaking. This is at the University of Cape Town, by the way. And in order to get into the film production program, because there's film theory and media studies that you can do. But in order to get into that particular program, you had to submit a portfolio, you had to have a certain GPA, and you had to, all this stuff, which I didn't have.
All this serious
because
stuff.
of how I crashed out.
Yeah, you decided,
right? So I was like, in order for me to get into this, I'm going to have to do something, basically.
Organize
penance.
Yourself and...
Isn't it? Penance?
Yeah, well...
Back to the Bible?
Yeah.
So I felt like I had to...
It will sound like a sermon at the end of this podcast with your preacher, Akuol de Mabior.
Who needs Sarah Chan to give all the references because she doesn't know any of the scripture.
Click below for all the Bible verses.
but yeah, my sense was like I had to show that I was serious because of how unserious I had been, and it had to be like spectacular. So I became an extremely serious student. I really pushed myself, and eventually was able to get into this program, and from there, I finished the program, and as soon as I left UCT, I met my producer, Sam Soko, he's a well-known Kenyan film producer, director, editor, and I met him and started making this film about my mom, No Simple Way Home.
Yes.
Like it was like, I mean, I don't even think I had graduated. Like I had finished, I had done my exams and everything, but I hadn't even gone for the graduation ceremony yet before, like I met Sam Soko at that time. So it's like I had started making that film as soon as I left. Like when I think about, I can actually just talk about, like, these 5 years I was going, and then I went to school, and then like everything just happened.
It was flowing. And that's how passion, and then also the work you put in, and the doors that it actually opens, and the connections
being
within
a find-outologist.
Man.
Being unable to sit still and relax.
And then also you are rewarding yourself and working so hard to gain from what you had felt, okay, so I took this time off. But I really think that when you took that time off to go model, it was needed for you to gain those, it's not a guilt, but it's the knowing this is not my passion. For you to know, I think this is what my passion is, for you to come back with the drive and the motivation and the inspiration to push.
Sure. I mean, I don't regret that time. I admit that I made mistakes. I didn't have the courage. Maybe I didn't have the courage to look at it squarely or honestly, what it was. And I also don't like to, although this tends to get cut out of interviews, I always give the caveat that it wasn't all bad. Because when people talk about modeling, the juiciest stuff is the bad stuff, right?
Like,
yeah, and they cut it out because it's like, who cares?
Make sure you...
job. Hello.
Cut this one.
Please, let's keep this.
So you have often spoken passionately at that about the single story creates stereotypes and the importance of having various depictions and a range of stories. Kindly share with us.
What we take on or what we can be quite uncritical of is the idea of representation.
Right.
So I don't want to, first of all, this is the disclaimer is that I don't think there's that representation and ideas around representation are wrong. Like, yes, representation matters. So I don't want to
take away from that.
Yeah, I don't want to take away from that, and I don't want to be I don't want to be misunderstood as saying representation doesn't matter or there's anything wrong with representation.
There's
I
the
just
disclaimer.
think that thank you.
All right.
So I just think that there has to be some care around ideas of representation because, for example, I could stand up on a stage and say and call myself representative of South Sudanese women, but I shouldn't.
Right.
We should be careful about things like that because my experience is not representative of South Sudanese women's experiences. Somebody has behaved, in a way that is unprincipled, that does not represent my values, and then invokes African women. It's like, can I stay out of this, please? Huh? I was just eating my breakfast.
I was not even part of this. I just woke up.
All of a sudden, as an African woman, it's just like, hey.
And we have all been
please,
summoned.
As you, the person who made a mistake, can you not? Can you not invoke me or place me into the story?
Yes.
And when I'm just sitting here having a conversation
minding
with Sarah
my
Chad,
business.
Somebody talking about as an African woman, as
over
a black
there from
woman,
Gambia. Sorry.
And it's like, but not Gambia.
Not Gambia. Let's say another part of South Sudan.
We love Gambia.
Yeah, we love. Sorry.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. It's like
true.
Even in that case, right? It's like there's so many of us. There's so many black women. There's so many African women. There's so many African countries. There's so many African experiences.
Right.
And then you want to invoke as this.
Yeah.
And then talk about one experience. One reaction, one scene, one thing,
Right.
It's like, no, that person did that. And that is also valid.
Right.
Whatever that experience is. But don't
infringe on everybody else's.
Don't call everybody into it, while they're just taking a walk, going grocery shopping, just minding their own business.
Basking in the sun, trying to get a tan like myself.
Just minding my own business.
I'm out there trying to get a tan, and then all I hear is
raising your family.
I know.
Trying to sort out issues with your siblings, and then all of a sudden you
have
are
an
called into, writing your exams.
What? Yeah, no, I totally agree with that point of view for the single story create stereotypes. Now, for a shoot day, how do you prepare and how do you get motivated? Because I know it must be heavy. Mm-hmm. The equipment from the script. I don't know what you guys do. Please tell us
all the things. All the things. So something that you might relate to. Mm-hmm. I think of it as
me. Eh?
Yes, you, of course.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, Miss. as an athlete.
Yes. Oh, I thought
representing all athletes.
I thought it was my film or video taking abilities.
No, that
as
too,
an athlete,
because it's the same idea.
Yeah.
I think about aiming and shooting and how you need both, right?
Okay.
And aiming is the planning, and then you shoot.
Right.
And with documentary, there is a element, I think, of performance, because there's a lot of things that you can't do a second take, third take, because you're filming things as they happen in real time, and it's real, and it's or it's supposed to be, not all of it, but the heart of it is that you're capturing actuality, and if you're doing what some people call verite, where it's like you're trying to be a fly on the wall, this kind of thing. There's an element of performance where, yes, you have to do a lot of prep, and then you have one chance to get it.
Right.
There's a lot of that. So the aiming, the planning, all of this is extremely important. And because sometimes you only have one chance. There's other ways of shooting. There's scripted things that you can, you have more than one chance, but I do think of it in those terms as like
that opportunity
we have with a lot of things. We only have one chance to get it right, and so we have to be extremely
focused,
prepared. And something that helps, of course, is having done it many times.
Yeah.
So
that's the value of experience, and
very much it's
putting in the years of work.
It's massive because and also failing and making mistakes,
and learning from them.
So you can, let's say with filmmaking, how do you learn it? I'd say a lot of people probably don't need to go to school. Maybe you want to, but the thing, you could sit and theorize about how to shoot. Right, yes, you could aim and aim and aim and plan and plan and plan, and some of us either are that way inclined, like we prefer that space where we're going to brainstorm and we're going to talk about how we're going to do it, and then it's very difficult to go out and do it. Right. But you have to go out and do it and make the mistake in order to learn and not do it again, and then it becomes part of your prep. You know that this list of things, you have to check off this list of things before you start. Right. And you have to, and then there's all sorts of technical things that come into it as well. And I think of myself as, let me not say it. Like I shoot myself, like I actually hold the camera myself. I wanted to say I think of myself as a technical filmmaker. Next thing you know, somebody's gonna, Job is gonna, he's gonna put a camera in front of me and be like,
show us, show us this your skills you speak of.
Never seen it before.
It is a lens.
But I think it's important to have a good grasp of the technical side of it, so that when you're prepping, and also so that when you're working in a team. Not that you have to know everything. So
but you
I
can
direct.
Understand.
Yes. Yeah. So when I'm working with crew, and I've never worked with a big crew because I've only done documentaries, and then student films. So when you're working with your crew, you can speak to each department head. It's not really a department. You can speak to each role in their language. Right. And also they know that you understand their concerns, right? So sometimes you can be speaking to somebody who's non-technical who would just be like, can you just why? You see, sometimes job is like, stop because this, you could be in a situation where somebody's just like, It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So having enough knowledge to speak to each person and each role.
In its context.
Yes, and with respect for that person's concerns and things like that. Right. And then marrying all those things, because at the same time, you have to make compromises along the way and this kind of thing. I think that when I started, I got trapped in the aiming side and the planning to the detriment of the shooting sometimes because of time, just time spent, too much time spent trying to check off all the boxes and make sure that everything is, perfect. And it's not going to be. Yes. So you have to, at some point, you have to just jump in. And I think a lot of it is like anything else. Yeah.
No,
you can relate
from my sports, experience.
As an athlete.
Speaking as
representing all of them.
Representing even the men.
No.
Oh no.
And and all the other sports.
And all the other sports, hockey, especially ice hockey. No, definitely no. I can really relate. Preparation is key, but also you never know when it's now practical, right? That they might be some situations that you have to be more versatile, but also have and the flexible. Wisdom to work with the people, right?
Yeah. Which one is that? The Bible?
No, that's just from Sarah's little quote. Sarah's little.
It's that prayer, but that's not. It's not in the Bible, though,
but
right?
It's what do they usually call it?
Prayer.
Yeah.
God give me
is it the strength to something? Know the difference and
no, the difference is the wisdom in the end.
Just drop it for us because us will just say. See it in the description box below.
Yes. Tell us tell us about
what it says later.
Yes. And where it came from.
Do a quiz at the end of this podcast.
Yes.
What does it say?
What were all those things that Sarah and Akuol didn't know anything about?
Were rambling about.
Yes.
And you
that
win.
They got all wrong. They got the quotes wrong and everything.
A loaf of bread. We're here. Start promising.
Is that still
super
a thing?
Loaf. No, I think festive. But super loaf is really
I don't eat bread.
Iconic. I cannot believe we're here at super loaf.
I don't eat bread.
Oh, she's a healthy, Mama Jim. But
I used to injera. You get some injera.
I actually have some in the fridge. Anyway, story for another day.
Yes.
Well, we should come and do another, podcast cooking and
who's cooking?
And we Hatem, of course, our friend.
Okay.
Because it's not us.
I can eat.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, I was actually prayed for by my mother so that I can have appetite. It's dangerous.
So that you can have more of an appetite or less of an
because
appetite.
Our older brother Shoal had his appetite he's very picky. Him and the last one. But us, the middle children.
She was like, please give this child all the appetite that the other kids didn't have.
Then I came. In fact, when I was born, I was like sucking my thumbs.
I'm hungry.
Now
you came out hungry.
Like, please, I see the combo.
Your prayers answered. Yeah, Mama Sarah Chan.
Yes. Mama Mary, we call her Mama Mary.
Mama Mary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't make our big brother beat us, eh? It's Mama Shoal.
Did the appetite come eventually?
For sure, no, he's still the same. But for us, the ones that are prayed for, it's
for him
there.
too. I see. Yeah. I see.
But anyway, no, thank you so much. I think now before we actually end this, I would ask you to share with the audience your biggest life lesson or just an advice you would want to give the youth or anyone aspiring to be in the film.
I worry about advising when I too am
on your journey
and learning and growing and all of this, and also realizing how mistaken I have been. Have you ever been so sure of something?
Right.
Or think about a time when you were so sure of something that now you look at it and you're just like, oh gosh, I got that one wrong, right? So I worry about advising. But what I came across today in my notes, that I thought I could share with you.
Share? Yeah, sure. Please share with us.
And I cannot share it off
Kindly read this. Come on.
Because I don't remember.
You had to jot it down. Can I wear?
Well, I mean, I found something that I had jotted down.
That's nice. It's wonderful that you also journal and.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I've always done it. I think now that we do everything on computers and phones, I'm a little bit.
More intentional.
Less scattered about it. Yeah, I think writing things with physical paper. That's
I know
my most
that's beautiful.
Lesson. No, that's not.
Right. So what I copy.
So what I had jotted down, it was like this time about 2 years ago. I don't know what made me come to this thing that I wrote. In fact, it feels like I've forgotten what it even was.
Take your time.
No, it's here.
Oh, okay.
It's just as I read it, it's going to be like I'm reading it the first time.
Okay.
So I wrote, have the courage and faith to give it, it being your chosen path, for example, to give it all you have, like it is the only thing. And know that if you must, you will let it go and start over, and that it will hurt every time.
I think this sums up especially like your pathway
all
and your
all the different things I've done.
Yeah. That's incredible. No, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Piece of advice,
Lost
which is
notes.
you should say lost notes.
I
It's
think
so
I even
valuable and
I'll call
profound.
I'll call that note, and I'll call that note lost notes. Anybody who has notes on their phone.
And we'll come back in 5 years. You've done a whole film.
So 5 years
starting
ago.
from. I had jotted down this advice,
down.
and now I have a whole movie.
Yeah.
I am in Hollywood and I am getting my award. We will come there singing.
So now I advise, because I am never mistaken.
Because for sure.
Because I am wiser than I am.
That is awesome. That is awesome. No, that's really profound. And thank you so much for taking the time out to be.
Sure thing. Thank you for inviting me out.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And I hope there's not too much rambling.
No, it's incredible. This has been amazing. I'm very sure that our audiences will be delighted to watch. And thank you for the gems that you've dropped today. And we wish you the very best with your filming journey and, you know, with every endeavor that you have ahead.
Thank you. And likewise.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I'm coming to invest in this podcast of yours and your radio voice.
Please record that part. Record that. She's investing in this podcast and my radio
I believe
voice.
in you, yeah.
This voice that my father thought was a guy.
Well, Miss Sarah Chan.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you.
It's been amazing. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for coming. There you have it. This is Akuol de Mabior. And it has been such a fun and exciting segment. Stay tuned for the next episodes. This is the Nile Reflection Podcast. And I'm Sarah Chan.
And I'm Akuol de Mabior. And Sarah Chan.